So this chapter, the last chapter about Aditi's pregnancy in the evening. So after that, further it is being continued. So during the pregnancy, so entire world was covered with darkness, dense dark clouds, so there was no light. So demigods became fearful. So what's going on? So now they have approached Lord Brahma to ask the reason. What is the reason why this darkness has been aroused? So Brahmaji has not actually revealed the reason as such. So now in this prayer, in this verse, demigods, before Brahma answered, they started praying to Lord Brahma after the Brahma's answer. So they have started praying to the Brahma. So in this they are mentioning Brahma as Yasya Vacha Praja Sarva, a person. They are offering of respects to a person. Vacha Praja Sarva. Here Vacha refers to the Vedic directions or the instructions mentioned in the Vedic literatures. So a person, one who has delivered or contributed the Vedas or Vedic instructions, so for whom Praja Sarva, for the welfare of all the Prajas. And these Vedic literatures, how they are helpful to the human being? Just like Gavas Tantyeva Yantritaha. Gavas means here it's Prabhupada is translating as a bull. So a bull who's tied, who is working as per the rope which is tied to its nose. So generally in a bullock cart you would have seen. So there is a person who is riding the bullock cart. So bull is tied with a rope. So if he moves the rope towards the left, he takes left turn. If you move towards right, he takes right turn. So it doesn't act independently. It just acts as per the direction. He receives directions of the master, he receives through the rope. Similarly, all the living entities, Praja Sarva. So why Brahma is giving these Vedic instructions? So that they can act strictly according to the instructions of the Vedic literatures. So Haranti Bali Mayatta Tasmai Mukyayate Namaha. So now Brahmaji, Mukyaya, one who is the chief person among all the demigods, so they are offering obeisances because mercifully he has given those Vedic literatures, Vedic instructions. By using those, all the living entities can lead a peaceful life in this material world and go back to Godhead. So here this is the prayer which the demigods are offering to Brahmaji. So in the last paragraph of the prayer, in the Purport, Prabhupada mentions, no human being or demigod can enact laws like those of the Vedic literature, because the Vedic regulations are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. So even though here Brahmaji has been glorified as the contributor to the chief person who has contributed to the Vedas, we offer our respect. So he is a chief contributor, but who is the person who enacts Vedic rules or Vedic literature? It's the Supreme Lord only. No other living entity, including Brahma or any powerful personalities or any great sages, they cannot enact the laws. Just like the state laws, like Prabhupada here, it mentions about state laws. So state laws, who can make the state laws? Only the government can make. So there is a procedure, so and so majority has to be there to pass any law. Then once it is passed in the, say if it is a national law, so it has to be passed in Rajya Sabha, then in Lok Sabha, then it has to go to the president's nod. Then after his nod, it becomes a law, then it be applicable to all the citizens of the country. So similarly here, there may be some person who is a one who is a caretaker of the law, one who may be interested with the successful implementation of the law, but there is a procedure to make. So here Brahmaji is like a caretaker who is interested to teach those laws into the living entities, contribute that further to the living entities, but it is the Supreme Lord who makes the laws. So this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, where Ajamila's pastime is being described. So when Ajamila passed away, he chanted Narayana. The moment he left the body, while he was leaving body, he chanted Narayana. So Vishnudutas, Yamudutas, both of them will come. So when Yamudutas wanted to take his soul to the Yamaloka, Vishnudutas stop him. So then the discussion happens between Yamadutas and Vishnudutas. So then Vishnudutas defeat them, they tell them that no, you cannot take them like that. So then Yamadutas, they go to their master Yamaraj. They narrated the entire story, what happened. So then they asked them that, we were doing your duties on behalf of you. Then how can someone can come and stop us like this? So that time, Yamaraj is replying to the Yamadutas, Dharmastu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam, Navai Vidur Vishayo Napi Deva, Nasiddha Mukya Asura Manushya, Kutono Vidyadara Charanadayaha. So Brahmaji is replying that Yamadutas were thinking, for them Brahmaji is their supreme master. So they were just trying to follow his orders. They were trying to perform his duties as dictated by Yamaraj. So now Yamaraj is telling actually that the prince, don't think that only I am the supreme master who enacts laws. No, it is actually the supreme lord who dharmastu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although fully situated in the mode of goodness, even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets cannot ascertain the real religious principles. Even although fully situated in mode of goodness, even the great rishis, they also cannot ascertain the real religious principles. They also just follow whatever has been given by the Supreme Lord. And further they will teach the same to their next generation. Nor can the demigods or the leaders of Siddha Loka, to say nothing of the asuras, ordinary human beings, Vidyadharas and Charanas, even the great demigods, they doesn't have any power to ascertain the real religious principles. So that's the reason following the religious principles is one of the most important thing. Prabhupada here compares real religious principles and sense gratification with a very nice analogy like a salt. So a salt, if you take, you cannot say I'll take too much, and one cannot say I'll not take, or I'll take only little, very, very little. How much ever it is required, that much only should be taken, neither too much nor too less. So similarly, sense gratification is also like that. So as a body requires certain gratification to maintain this body. So but that has to be taken with a complete balance. If you take it more, you will have to suffer. If you take it less, that will lead to another kind of complications. So that's what Prabhupada here mentions. Vedic literatures are the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot violate the injunctions given in the Vedic literatures any more than one can violate the state laws. We cannot violate them. Recently, I happened to meet one person who is a Vastu expert. So I was talking to him. I asked him a question. Can any atheistic person become an expert in Vastu Shastra? So why? Because the moment we started talking about Vastu Shastra, I said Vastu Shastra actually is derived from astrology. Vastu is not an independent subject matter as such. It is actually derived from astrology. It's a byproduct of astrology. So one who knows astrology then only he will know about Vastu also. So then the moment you come to astrology, the moment you talk about astrology, you cannot learn astrology without faith on the Lord. You cannot say I am an atheistic person, but then you are learning astrology. Then you are talking about Vastu Shastra. Vastu Shastra is about all, even though he said it's a science. It doesn't depend whether one is a believer of God or a non-believer. It doesn't matter, but still because it's an inseparable part. You cannot separate it. Then second question I asked, why, if it is so, why is that Vastu principles differ from a person to person? One consultant will suggest something. If you go to another expert, he will suggest something else. If you go to third person, he will have his own, completely a contradictory version of to the first two persons. How this can happen? So he said, Prabhuji, it's basically a science. Suppose if you go to any country which is predominantly, say like, it is filled with, ice, snow. So there, if you go to that place, because it is predominantly water content, it's predominated by water. So basically, Vastu, what they do is that they calculate everything based on Panchatatvas, earth, water, fire, ether, air, sky. Everything they calculate based on these elements. How in this particular this thing, how much is the earth element, all those things. That's what Vastu does. And in the astronomy, what they do is they see the grahas. There are 12 different grahas are there according to them. So where are they placed in your kundali, in your horoscope? So it's a science. So how it differs? Yes, it differs just because if you go to a doctor with the same disease, he may suggest a completely different methods, especially allopathy, Ayurvedic, homeopathy. If you go, they have a different ways of treating a disease. Even if you go to, say, if you have a cough, if you go to a doctor who is allopathic doctor, so 3 different doctors, they may suggest 3 different elements. Then I asked him, okay, 3 different medicines they may suggest, but chemical composition of those medicines are more or less same to treat the cough. Name of the medicine may be different, manufacturer may be different. He said, no, it's not like that. There may be some variations. Unfortunately, it is, there is no standard this thing as such, because many people interpret it in a different way. But sometimes solution for a problem may lies with a different these things. So then does it mean that people will get confused? If it is a single solution, obviously you would have been very happy. Say हमारा पास कोई परेशानी है, कोई हमें एक सिंगल सोल्यूशन दे दे, सो विल बी हैप्पी. बट यदि हमारा परेशानी के लिए 3 अलग अलग लोग आके अलग अलग मेथड बताएं, अलग अलग तरीका बताएं, वी बिकम completely disturbed. So similarly, Vedic principles, the religious principles. So like Mayavadis, they present the Lord in a way, with the same principle, same Bhagavatam. Shankaracharya has written commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam as well. Sharirika Bhashya. So Vaishnava Acharyas have also written. So same subject matter, they may present it in different way, but we have to understand the Vedic principles are given by the Supreme Lord. Even though given by the Supreme Lord, to understand them for our practical use or day-to-day use, as mentioned here, we have to lead our life as per the instructions given in the Vedic literatures. We will come to that. What if we don't do? What will happen? We will say, no, my way is highway. मेरा जिंदगी है, मेरा सबसे मैं जीऊँगा, क्यों मैं ये सब इतना इंस्ट्रक्शंस फॉलो नहीं करेंगे तो क्या होगा? So that I'll come to that little later in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains that. So then, even if someone wants to follow, यदि follow भी करना चाहते हैं, but इतना confusion है, इतना मत है, इतना variations है, एक ही subject matter को ऊपर, तो हम कैसे समझें? So that's where the role of spiritual master comes into picture. The same instruction, how we can practically apply to our life, that's where Bhakti Vedanta purports. For every verse, almost all the verses in whether it's Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam or Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada writes purports. So why Prabhupada writes? The practical application of that purports. Like as mentioned in this verse about bull's example. So we have to lead our life as per the instructions of the scriptures. So then Prabhupada explains that same principle through an analogy of salt. So sense gratification is like a salt. Bodily demands are like salt. It should not be too much, it should not be too less. It should be in a moderate way. As much as required to maintain the body and soul together, that much we should take. You cannot take, okay, my palate is strong, so I want to take more and more foodstuffs. If you take, you have to suffer. If you don't take also, you have to suffer. So it has to be in a moderate way. So that's where spiritual master role comes into play. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions about foodstuff which is cooked and kept for more than 3 hours should not be consumed, because it becomes unfit for consumption. It comes into the mode of tamoguna. So then what do? We take prasadam, sometimes cooked in the morning, we sometimes take in the evening also. Some dry prasadam we take after a few days. So then how are we violating the instructions given by Krishna? So the very first line of the Purport Prabhupada mentions, this principle is not applicable to prasadam. Prasadam is transcendental. Prasadam is exempted from this principle which Krishna himself is telling. So that's where spiritual master roles comes into play. the practically how we can apply those instructions. So in another place, in one place in some Vedic literature, I don't know the reference, so there it's one beautiful verse I came across. Of course, Prabhupada has mentioned in a couple of classes, so that's where I searched that and I came to know that, so this is about Kama Turanam Nabhayam Nalajjam. So Prabhupada mentions a person who is too much engrossed in sense gratification, or too much engaged in sex. What will happen? Nabhayam Nalajjam. So neither he has fear nor he has shame. Na dar hai, na sharam hai. Na bhai hai, na sharam hai. So person who is. So like that there are few more in that complete verse. Arthaturanam na shatru na shunna bandhu. Kamaturanam na bhayam na lajjam. Vidyaturanam na sukam na nidra. Kshudhaturanam na prum na vapum na teja. So first principle is Arthaturanam, a person जिनको बहुत अर्थ के लिए मतलब पैसे के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा लालच है, is too much greedy about money. So generally we see that they don't care about family, relationships, friendship. So Arthaturanam na shunna bandhu, neither family members na bandhus. Bandhus means relatives, friends. They don't care, they don't make good friends because they are too much engrossed in earning the money. Their only interest is earning money. How can I increase my money? People say, no, you should see whether before you go and meet a person, whether it is going to help your business or not, whether you are going to increase your wealth or not by meeting that person. Otherwise, simply why should you waste your time? They calculate everything based on money. Then second, Kamaturanam Nabhayam Nalajjam, person who is too much engrossed in sex life, neither he has fear nor he has shame. Then Vidyaturanam Nasukam na Nidra. Important for principle for us. Vidyaturanam na sukam na nidra. Person who is interested in cultivation of knowledge, vidya, knowledge. So for that person, na sukam na nidram, he is not interested in sukha or bodily comforts, na nidra, he will not sleep too much. So because he knows the value of time and he also knows the value of austerity. Too much of bodily the comfort, that means we are not properly situated in spiritual life. So that has to be again in a balanced way. Then Kshudhaturanam napum na teja, a person who is inflicted with poverty, one who doesn't have much money. So you see generally his body is not well maintained. There is no na teja na vapu, body is not well maintained. So he doesn't look very appealing as such. So these symptoms, as mentioned here, that sense gratification. So nabhayam na lajjam. So sometimes the persons go to such an extent for sense gratification, they are ready to do anything and everything. Only animals doesn't have that nabhayam na lajjam. But whereas as human beings, as mentioned in the Vedic literatures, we have to maintain restraint. Our life cannot be without any control, without any boundaries. Our life has to be controlled. It has to be under the guidelines mentioned in the Vedic literatures. What will happen if you lead that kind of a life? That Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains. What will happen if you lead your life in a very bizarre manner, in a haphazardous manner? Okay, if I think, I will do. If I feel, I will do. Otherwise, I will not do. So that kind of a life, what will happen? Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter, Yashastra vidhi mutsrajya vartate kama karataha nasa siddhi mavapnoti nasukam na param gatim. So, but he who discards scriptural injunctions, na shastra vidhi mutsrajya, shastra vidhim, the instructions mentioned in the shastras. A person who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So you cannot say, I sometimes when we meet some, any gentleman outside, so when we invite them to the temple, हाँ प्रभु जी, मतलब जब भगवान कहे, जब भगवान बुलावा आएगा, तब मैं आ जाऊँगा. But if someone is a devotee, this is a general statement about any common person who is not a devotee. But if someone is a devotee, what he will think? ये जो बुलावा है, कोई प्रभु जी आके हमें इनवाइट कर रहे हैं, ये भी तो भगवान का ही बुलावा है. प्रभु जी ने भगवान का एक दूत बनकर, एज एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट बनकर आके मुझे बुला रहे हैं. सो दिस इज हाउ ए डिवोटी थिंग्स, बट वेयर एज ए कर्मी एंड नॉन डिवोटी थिंग्स, नहीं ठीक है, भगवान जब बुलावा आएगा तब देखेंगे. He will not come for any festival, but if some of his business partner is throwing some program here, so they will definitely come. यदि हमारे फेस्टिवल में आए या ना आए, बट उसमें ज़रूर आएंगे, because again they are interested, that will increase their relationship, that will help in their business. So our life cannot be like this, because if you are like this, then what happens? You will attain neither perfection, nor happiness, nor supreme destination. So this about in the 16th chapter, where Krishna is explaining about divine and demoniac natures of a person. So who will lead to this kind of a life? For with this verse is applicable to whom? So that Krishna explains in the starting from the beginning of this chapter. So Krishna starts explaining about the saintly, first divine qualities. First 3 verses Krishna explains about divine qualities. Then he starts about demoniac natures, demoniac qualities. So there Krishna explains. I'll jump on to the only related verses. O son of Pruta, in this world there are 2 kinds of created beings. One is called divine and other is demoniac. I've already explained you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me about the demoniac. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. They don't even know what is to be done and not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor trust is found in them. Then Krishna further explains about the characteristics. Now he comes to the detailed characteristics of the demoniac persons. They say that this world is unreal, that there is no foundation, and that there is no God in control. If it is produced of sex desire, and it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. So for them, entire creation, like creation means all living entities, all living creatures have come about. How they have come about? Just because of sex desire. Because of sex desire, union of male and female, generations have come about. There is no other reason. There is no other reason than lust. So that's what they think. This is about demoniac persons. Following such conclusions, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Just like Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha in the context in this chapter which is explained. So they were also like that only. There is no God. For everything, I am the God. I am the Supreme. You should worship me. You should honor me. In his entire kingdom, so Hiranyakashipu had demolished all the temples. No Vedic sacrifices were happening. If Brahmanas were found performing any sacrifices, he would punish them, he would kill them sometimes. So he was thinking that, I am the most powerful. So this is what the nature of the demoniac persons. So they engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. They think I am benefiting. Actually, it's a destroying actually. Then, next. The demoniac, taking shelter of insatiable lust, pride and false prestige, and being thus illusioned, are always sown to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. They do all kinds of abominable works, unclean works. Then, they believe that to gratify the senses unto the end of life is the prime necessity of human civilization. Just like persons, उनको यहाँ तक खाना और यहाँ तक पीना ही उनका ज़िंदगी का एक मकसद समझते हैं. So that's what Krishna is saying. They believe that to gratify the senses unto the end of life, towards the end, last day of the life also I should be drinking. So I should be drinking, I should be eating, I should be enjoying. So that's what their aim of the life is. Thus there is no end to their anxiety. If someone is having this kind of a desire, so obviously he will be in anxiety. Sada samudvigna dhyam asatgrahat. In the previous verse Krishna mentioned about they attracted to the impermanent. Impermanent are which is a very temporary. So this word. So asatgrahat, something which doesn't exist. If you accept that as the aim of life, something which cannot be fulfilled in your life, if you accept that as aim of life, what will happen? You will always be in anxiety. Sada samudvigna dhyam asatgrahat. That's what Prahlad Maharaj says in Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus there is no end to their anxiety, Being bound by hundreds and thousands of desires, by lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. Like politicians, very big businessmen. How much money they have? Sometimes income tax raid happens. Small babu in a government office, he is found with some 300 crores or 400 crores worth of property, some cash, huge amount of gold. So if you thinks in a very sane way, थोड़ा सा अपना दिमाग से सही से सोचेंगे ना, कितना चाहिए उनको? ठीक है, 10 करोड़ एफडी में लगा लो, आप लाइफ लॉन्ग, देर आर मेडिकल इंश्योरेंसेस, लाइफ लॉन्ग आपका ज़िंदगी में कुछ आपको नहीं, सिर्फ परिवार को, सब रिलेटिव्स को, सबको मिला के इंश्योरेंस करा के रखे, ताकि कोई भी बीमारी हो जाए मरने तक तो पूरा इलाज होने का सब फैसिलिटी है. इतना सब कुछ करने का बावजूद भी उनका पास जो वेल्थ है बहुत है. 300 करोड़ 400 करोड़ में क्या कर सकता है आदमी? 4-5 मंदिर आ जाएंगे. इफ़ यू गो एंड आस्क हिम कि तुमने इतना क्यों जमा के रखा है, दे विल टेल ये भी बहुत कम है. 300-400 करोड़ तो ऐसे भी बहुत कम है. पॉलिटिशियंस के पास जाएंगे तो 1000 करोड़ों में भी जाते हैं. एंड सम सो कॉल्ड रिलीजियस पीपल, इवन दे हैव मच मोर वर्थ ऑफ प्रॉपर्टीज. सो व्हाई दे आर एक्चुअली एक्यूमुलेटिंग? तो थोड़ा सा जरा सा भी अपना बुद्धि से सोचेंगे, अच्छे बुद्धि से सोचेंगे, उनको इतना क्या करूँगा मैं पैसे, अल्टीमेटली कोई और एंजॉय करेंगे. क्योंकि ज़िंदगी भर तो वो पैसे को सेव करके रखने के लिए, इनकम टैक्स रेड ना हो जाए, किसी को पता ना चले, उस एंग्जाइटी में गुजर जाते हैं उनका ज़िंदगी. सो व्हाट इज़ द यूज़ ऑफ दैट प्रॉपर्टी? बट दे विल नॉट बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड बिकॉज ऑफ द डिमोनियक नेचर. दे आर कंट्रोल्ड बाय द मोड ऑफ पैशन एंड इग्नोरेंस, predominantly ignorance. What ignorance does? The very word ignorance, अंधकार, so it blindens our eyes, हमारे दृष्टि को अंधा कर देते हैं. We will not be able to see what is right, what is wrong. So that's what happens. A person who is influenced by demoniac qualities, he will not be able to see what is good, what is bad. He will think according to his own whims. Even if some saintly person or some of his good friends, they go and give some good suggestions, they will not accept. They will even kill them, those who are giving good instructions. So they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. And because of that, they perpetually, so then what happens? These are the qualities which Krishna mentions, that these are the demoniac qualities. So what will happen to those persons? So that's what Krishna in the 23rd verse he mentions about, nasukam na param gatim, neither happiness nor any supreme destination they will be able to attain. Even before that, Krishna tells, he warns persons with those demoniac qualities. He's warning that what will happen to them. Yes. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodam cha samshrita mam atma para deheshu pradvishanto bhaya sukha. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust and anger, the demon becomes envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in his own body and in the bodies of others, and blasphemes against real religion. So why he is doing that? Because of false ego, strength, pride, lust, anger. Then because of that, what will happen? Those who are envious and mischievous, who are lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So then what Krishna does, what Krishna is telling is that what I do is that I cast them into the ocean of material existence. इस भौतिक भावसागर में और ज़्यादा गहरे में अंदर उनको मैं डुबा दूंगा. I'll cast them into the deep ocean of material existence. The next verse, which is important, which Krishna is saying, Asurim yonim apanna mooda janmani janmani mam aprayaiva kaunteya tato yani adhaman gatim. Attaining repeated birth amongst a species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me, which is the most horrible thing. Why? Because the very purpose of creating this material world is what? For punishing the living entities? Actually, it is for reformation center. It's a rehabilitation center. Reformation center for the living entities, those who have gone against the will of the Supreme Lord. So, but what Krishna is saying that if someone is in a very demoniac qualities, who is in deep ignorance, so I'll cast them, I'll attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life. Such persons can never approach me. So they are going, instead of moving towards Krishna by reforming or doing some past activities, they are going in a wrong directions. They are going away from Krishna. Krishna will never allow them to come near to him. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. And they will be there in that world perpetually. That's what Krishna is saying. They are there for perpetually, almost forever. So if you do sinful activities left and right, this is what is going to happen. That's why sometimes people say, Prabhuji, that so and so politician or some businessman, he is having lot of money, and we know that he is doing lot of illegal activities. He is doing mischief. He is cheating people. He is killing people to obtain the power, to obtain the money. So why he is still enjoying? It's a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Maybe it's because of some previous Sukriti is given that facility, but eventually he will be cast into the deep ocean of this material existence, and he will be suffer there perpetually, not just for one life or one lifetime or 2 lifetimes. Perpetually means almost in his entire lifetime. So generally it is said that any living entity who comes to this world, he cannot, because it's not a permanent place, he cannot stay here. Ultimately, if not in this life, if not he may take 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, 1000 lifetimes, but he has to reform and go back to Godhead. But Krishna also tells in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions, if someone really wants to be in this material world, doesn't want to accept Krishna's lotus feet, he is given that facility. He can be in this material world, in this abominable species of life. He will be thinking even that suffering as an enjoyment, just like a person who is fully drunk, he will be lying in a gutter, he will be lying in a sewage drain, but he will be thinking he is swimming in some ocean or maybe in some good lake. He is in Kshir Sagar, he will be thinking. But he is actually lying and in the midst of all those animals. So that's what ignorance does. It will completely blindens our intelligence. We will not be able to think what is good or what is bad. So that's what happened. If you wish, if you want to be in this material world, yes, you be there. Krishna is not opposing. Krishna is not forcefully taking you away. So unless you receive any pure devotee's mercy, unless you come under the glance of some pure devotee, for that person there is no solution to get out of this material world. So that's why then, after saying this, I will throw them into this material world perpetually. So then finally Krishna says, which we read in the beginning, Yashastra vidhi musrajya vartate kama karataha. So but he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So if you want to attain supreme destination, we have to follow the instructions mentioned in the scriptures. Otherwise, we will not be able to, so we cannot dictate our own laws. So dictating our own laws means we are becoming like a dictators, we are becoming like Hitler. No, that cannot happen. There's a reason. Spiritual life means, first principle in the spiritual life is surrender. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. The tadvidhi, the vidhi, the right process is what? Pranipat, surrender. Then pariprashna, ask relevant queries, and then sevaya, and do service to that pure devotee, Mahabhagavata. So then that is the process. First principle, spiritual life starts with surrender, whereas material life starts with pride, arrogance, more power, lust, greed. Spiritual life is completely opposite, starts with a surrender. So when you surrender, you will become more humble. If you become more humble, you will be able to receive the instructions or understand the instructions of the Shastras properly. So when you understand the instructions of the Shastras properly, then you will become eligible to go back to Godhead. You will become right person for right recipient of the mercy of the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. So this way, so that's why here the demigods are glorifying Lord Brahma, that who contributed the Vedas. Why? Because ultimately the Lord is doing through Brahma. Brahma is becoming a instrument in the hands of the Lord in propagating the religious principles. So that's why they are offering his prayers to Brahmaji and remembering him that you are doing such a great work by preserving the Vedas. So in fact, towards it's mentioned in one of the purports in the 5th canto. So towards the end of one day of Brahma, when Brahma was almost feeling sleepy, towards the end of the day, even we also feel sleepy, right? So Brahmaji was feeling sleepy. So a demon named Hayagriva, so he comes and he steals the Vedic knowledge from Brahma. So then he goes into the deep ocean. So again, like demoniac people, Krishna so tells, I put them into the deep ocean. So he thinks that by going to the deep ocean, no one will come and chase me out, because he knows I am stealing a most valuable thing, Vedic knowledge. So the Lord or some his devotee will come chasing me. So he'll go into the ocean. So then Lord comes in the form of Matsya, in the form of fish incarnation. He kills the demon. He preserves that Vedic literatures, he brings back, then he gives it to Manu so that he can take and distribute it to the next generation in the next cycle of creation. So then Brahma, then in another pastime of Brahma where demons named Madhu and Kaitaba. So when Brahma was in deep meditation, so when Brahma is in deep meditation, like Prabhupada mentions, he was snoring. Generally when we sleep, we snore, right? So Brahmaji was snoring. So from his snoring, what was coming out? Vedic literatures. When we snore, what will happen? It creates disturbance. But Brahma snoring, Vedic literatures are coming out. So when because he was in a slumber, he was in meditation, so he was not knowing that, what is happening. So Madhu and Kaitaba, they stole those Vedic literatures, again they started running away. So then the Lord, in the previous pastime, it was demon named Hayagriva. Here the Lord comes in the form of Hayagriva. Hayagriva means horse incarnation. So why horse incarnation? Prabhupada mentions, horse is the most intelligent animal. So the Lord comes human form with a horse head. So horse head is intelligent animal. So he chases them, Madhu and Kaitaba. He kills both of them. So then he brings back the Vedic literatures. Then Brahma becomes very pleased. Then he first apologizes, Lord, please forgive me for my mistake. That out of my in that condition, I forgot that Vedic literatures are stolen by these two Rakshasas. So then he receives that Vedic literature so that he can further propagate that Vedic instructions. So there it's mentioned, Madhu and Kaitaba were representation of passion and ignorance. So a person, those who are ignorant, they always think that no one can harm us, no one can hurt us, no one will stop us. That's what gives them the courage to do more sinful activities. If they become afraid of sinful activities or punishment because of those sinful activities, probably they'll come to some good sense. They will stop doing those sinful activities. They repent for those sinful activity. But those who are ignorance, they don't even repent, because they will be thinking, no one will catch us. I am very safe. All my money is safe. I can enjoy this throughout my life. So that their Madhu and Kaitaba represents passion and ignorance. So what's important instructions? We have to follow the instructions of the Vedic literatures. And to follow the Vedic literature instructions on our day-to-day life, so we should take guidance from the spiritual master or his representatives, so that we don't misinterpret the Vedic instructions. That's also another wrong thing, that we interpret according to our own knowledge. We have to take, as mentioned in the Vedic literatures, if there are any practical instructions which is coming from spiritual master, just follow and be happy, and you will become perfect in Krishna consciousness. I'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande Haribol.